Hey guys, Fearstreet here, back to making videos, back from a long break. Break, or should I say, adventure. About a week ago, I announced that I was going for the Scarab Lord mount. That was also when I decided to go for the mount for the first time, and boy oh boy, was I naive. I was naive enough to believe that having a couple of friends and a couple thousand gold was all you needed to finish this journey. But that was not the case at all. Let me tell you how my journey really went. And FYI, this story is exclusive to me only. Every Scarab Lord has their own unique adventure, and this one is mine. Let's start with the head of Broodlord, which was sold to me for a very decent price of 1.5k gold from the Ashes. Thank you From the Ashes for not asking for 5k gold like most of the other guilds. Then began the most toxic, mind-numbing, exhausting part of the journey. Farming 42,000 fragments. Not only farm 42,000 fragments, but farm them by the time AQ Wireford concludes, because you have to remember the clock is ticking. To maximize my efficiency, I had to give up on sleep. I did not sleep more than 4 hours during the 7 days of fragment farming, did not have time for proper meals or shower, and of course any connection with the outside world was disposed of. Even though I farmed 20 tedious hours every day for 7 days, I barely scratched the 42,000 fragment threshold. If you count the fragments I solo farmed, they would add up to 5,000 fragments, which is about 10% of the entire journey. So where did the rest 90% come from? That's where all the help from over 50 people and 40k gold I saved up came to play. Like I said, this journey is impossible to accomplish alone. You will need gold and you will need people having your back. The first day of farming was amazing. We were 20 people strong and all hyped up, minds fresh, no lack of sleep or food just yet. Deputizing my first deputies, everyone tagging as many mobs as they can. Was having a blast. But unlike me, people need sleep and have better stuff to do, so the numbers started to dwindle one by one. Day 2 and Day 3 is when the hype died out and all the major guilds were on the field. It got really toxic really fast. Competition on every mob spawn point, toxic environment. It even came down to a point where your ping mattered more than anything else. With 1,000 players farming for 100 bugs at a time, getting tags were absolutely crucial. If you didn't get tags, you were basically just wasting your time. So, if you had a lower ping, you had a better chance of getting a tag, and I won't even talk about the scroll wheel meta that developed into this playstyle. So now you can understand why the more people helping you, the easier it was, because more people means more tags means more loot. The mobs were not hard to kill at all, they were basically soloable by almost any class, even healers. And by the way, don't forget the collusions. There was a lot of collusions, intentional and unintentional. There was collusions versus collusions, meaning Horde and Alliance versus Horde and Alliance. It got really funny at one point, and I just got caught in between the crossfire, which was pretty sad. Day 4 is when it got pretty intense, both physically and emotionally, because enter China. 2 Chinese guilds in my server popped out of nowhere and started offering 5 gold for every fragment. Now this heavily impacted my team, since my team consisted of friends and volunteers, where I had 10 to 12 people helping me during the peak hours. After that killer deal was made, that number went down to 3 to 4 people. After that point on, it was just me and my friends in the grind. I mean, the offer was irresistible. 5 gold for a fragment. Every class in the game was making the same money of a mage in ZG for those 2 days. Even a resto druid was making 250 gold per hour because of this offer. This is also when half the server became fragment farmers for 2 days. I had people coming to me offering to help, only to find out later that they only wanted to get deputized so they can farm and sell them for 5 gold a pop. I won't say I didn't see this coming, Honestly, I might have done the same thing if I was a non-mage who is really in need of gold. I mean, with AQ40 around the corner, you want to have as much gold as possible so you can buy your consumes. Anyway, this 5G offer was very short-lived. People sold so many fragments that these two guilds were basically done in 2 days, and the prices were back to normal. The last days of farming were pretty calm. All the big guilds were done. Farming for gold wasn't really worth much anymore, so that gave us a lot of room to work with. Also, I could afford to buy out all the remaining fragments with whatever gold I had left. I spent 35k on buying around 18k fragments if you are curious. Also, I want to give a huge shout out to the gang who stuck with me since day 1 till day 7, throughout all the toxicity. Mass Friction, Track, Shmoney, Happy Feet, Ballador, Farm Gold, Chickalinda, my roommates Vosi and Dan. Without you guys, I would have zero chance at success, and no amount of thank you can ever express my gratitude for you guys. Now that the first part of the journey is over, it's time for the second part. Phase 2. We finished our 42,000 fragment farm just as the server finished the Waterford grind. So the new guild I recently joined, TL, was no longer farming copper bars 24/7 and offered to help me with the rest of the quest chain. Also, happy to say that this is when my life went back to normal since I didn't have to stay awake for 20 hours a day anymore. We started off by killing Dr. Weevil, and the strategy we used was DPS him till he dies or we die. And that strategy went pretty well. He was not difficult at all. And after finishing this, I decided to finish Undercity book, Stormwind book, and Winterspring book by myself solo. Instead of having a group of Horde help me get the Stormwind book, I had an alliance friend mind control me all the way to the book and save me a couple of deaths. Thank you, Lizzie, for your help. To get the book in Blasted Lands, it took about 18 minutes of grinding. And I got the book in BWL as I was doing the Red Scepter Shard quest chain, which is basically kill Nefarian. And by the way, you have to clear BWL within 5 hours, so this was actually the hardest part of the quest chain. After this, we did Onyxia, and the last book that was left was from Ragnaros in Molten Core. And if you guys are wondering why I stopped streaming in the middle of the grind, it was because I was feeling very sick and was being targeted by not one, but several groups of stream snipers. So I went off stream and updated my progress in my Discord server. Alright, back to the story. The last major thing left to do was farming MC trash, and the RNG gods really spit on me here. We were stuck in MC for at least 6 hours because the damn goggles wouldn't drop. I even hitchhiked my way into the guild Heyos raid just for the trash mobs when our raid team was taking a break, just so I could have another shot at it dropping. But guess what? It still didn't drop. But thank you, Heyo, for having me and taking the extra time to clear the trash mobs to help me out. After our short break, the TL gang and friends were back at it, and after 2 hours of continuous farming, it finally dropped. Finally dropped. Now, we were finally free to finish off Ragnaros and complete the Draconic for Dummies quest, and after that finish the last quest of the Blue Scepter Shard questline, which is killing the shark Moss. Now Moss, was it easy? Absolutely. We had 19 people on the boss and had 0 deaths. This dead druid here does not count, as he did not die to the shark. He in fact somehow managed to drown himself. So F in the chat. Now we are finished with the red and blue part of the Scarab Lord quest chain. Now let's talk about the green. Farming the 4 fragments of Nightmare Corruption was no easy task. At least for me it wasn't, since RNG decided to screw me every step of the way. Farming the Feralis Shard took about 4.5 hours, Hinterlands 1.5 hour, and Ashenvale as well 1.5 hour. The Duskwood Fragment was not RNG, It was a 100% drop chance. All you had to do was kill this boss, which wasn't really that simple. This boss here requires more strategy than any boss in Molten Core or BWL, which is kind of funny. Because every time someone dies, the boss gets stronger and stronger. You have to be extra careful in not taking unnecessary damage, because if more than 3 people die in the group, it's basically a wipe. Now after this, we made our way to Moonglade to encounter the final boss of the quest chain, Iranicus. The Iranicus encounter is not that difficult at all if things go according to plan. But obviously for us, things didn't go according to plan, and we had a very scary and rough start, because some mobs decided to glitch out and started firing massive AoE shadow bolts to the raid. But luckily, they fixed themselves and everything went perfectly fine. And now, last but not least, the Iranicus fight. We had to drop Iranicus to 20% HP, so the encounter would finish and the RP would begin. And that is it. That is my adventure. The greatest adventure of my Warcraft life. Made a ton of friends and a ton of memories. Big thanks to my guild TL and my friends for being there in every step of the journey. Now all that is left is doing the ding dong, and the journey will finally reach its beautiful end. Shout out to my amazing viewers that were there for me, cheering me on during the ding dong. Now that we have finished with this endless grind, I am free to start making YouTube videos again. So to make sure to hit that subscribe button. Thank you for watching, and until next time.